All right, welcome. We are playing Allura, a rooted in trophy game by Alicia Furness. This incursion is found on DriveThru RPG as well as on Alicia's website, I believe. And if I'm able to post this video, I will put the link in the description. So let's find out about our players first. Please say your name, your pronouns, and what you're interested in seeing in today's game. I am running this as a one-shot because I'm trying to practice for possibly using this in convention play. And this is unusual for me because usually I try to split Trophy off in Trophy Dark into a two-shot. So please, let's be introduced to our players. Let me start with Elle.
Hi, I'm Elle. My pronouns are she, her. Uh, I've played Trophy many times before, but this is my first time playing Allura, particularly. And I'm excited to play this because I think space is really scary. I would hate to be in space. So I think this is a good way for me to explore something very frightening to me from a safe distance. Yeah, so excited to be here.
Okay, and Jazy.
Yeah, I'm Jazy, she, her pronouns. I have played Trophy before as one shots and two shots. Haven't played this incursion. I'm very excited because, like Elle, I think space is. I love that everybody just decided that space was for horror. Like space is just horror, like always. There's no other genre you can really do in it, which I think is very valid. I love Mass Effect. I love The Expanse. I love a lot of like sci-fi stuff, and I look forward to sort of that like that isolated feeling of being on this death tube in like a space that does not in any way support your ability to live. So I think that's very interesting to explore, like what that does to a person.
And we will definitely explore these things for sure. And I'm Madelancholy, Mads for short, she, they pronouns. I've run Allura a few times. I do have one playthrough on my YouTube channel right now. But I'm always happy with the playability of the trophy system and the trophy gold and trophy dark games. So can't wait to see what you two do with this. um, all right, so we're going to do a quick CATS, which is concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, to make sure that we have all of our expectations on the table. Concept, Trophy Dark is a role-playing game about a group of doomed seekers entering the haunted spaces of the world. Allura takes place in a world where a hired team is tasked with disconnecting a battleship from a network in a far-flung future and finding only darkness, possibly their own. Aim. The seekers are motivated to secure their wants and needs during this mission, but they are doomed and most likely not able to achieve their goal. Instead, they are very likely to die by the end of the game, and watching how they go out is part of the fun. Tone. This game will be R-rated. Your characters are risk takers, willing to make dangerous choices. The game will be likely violent, terrifying, and include scenes of bodily horror and loss of self-control. Subject matter. The game is highly collaborative and improvisational. Players have a lot of say over the world itself and can introduce story elements that no one, not even the GM, was expecting, and play moves between the fiction and the metagame frequently. The game runs best when everyone feels comfortable offering up their ideas. It uses six-sided dice of two colors, light and dark, to determine the outcome of risky actions. We will be using a special online dice roller for Trophy, and it takes care of a lot of these functions. Because this is a horror scenario, we will be using safety tools to keep everyone safe at the table. We have the open door policy, explicit permission to leave the table at any time. We won't ask why. Just confirm if you will return after a bit or completely exit the game. We also have X cards, so if something is objectionable in an unfun way, then please make an X in the video with your arms, make an X in the chat, or just say X card out loud. We will stop, find out what needs to be X carded, take that out, and move on. We will not ask why. All right. And on our character keeper, we have a safety tab, which includes our lines, which are things we will not mention. We won't cross at all in the game. And a veil is something that may come up, excuse me, and be present, but won't be role played or described in any detail. All right. So currently our lines for this game are homophobia, transphobia, intimate partner violence, racism, sexual assault, sexual violence, effective torture, and vomit. And then our veils are harm to children, sexual content, slavery, and torture. There is an ask first column. So ask first on alcoholism, drug abuse, mind control, and self-harm. I'm just going to put it out there right now. A lot of what is going to be seen here on the ship, on the Allura itself, could be messing about with the mind. So I don't know if that's kind of like what we're thinking of for mind control. I mean, if you want to do some clarifying sentences for whomever put that down, just go ahead and put it into the character keeper so we can like take a look at it. And we can discuss as it comes up. I mean, like, you know, if there's something that needs to be like backed up a little bit, we can totally talk about it. Self-harm for ritual, okay for ritualistic purposes or anything that may pop up in an action movie, cutting your hand to lure something with blood, etc. Okay. And then lots of interest things here listed in the character keeper. So I'm just going to say them out loud because, wow. Interest in body horror, cannibalism, casual murder, childhood abandonment, dental horror, eye injuries, graphic injuries, gore, medical horror, PC betrayal, religion cults, rioting, romance, and sex work. Okay. We'll see if we can squish like any and all of that stuff in here, but we'll see. It's a one shot, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so that covers all the cats and the safety. And we're going to go ahead and I think we have characters already created, pretty complete. So let's go ahead and be introduced to our characters from left to right on our character keeper. Jazy, can you introduce us to Kai Hunter, please?
Sure. So I'll be playing Kai Hunter, they, he pronouns. Let me get on the tab. They, he pronouns. They are the comm specialist who specializes in languages and symbols, and they used to be an author of like self-help books and actions, but then it was found out that they have the ability to simply compel people to act, which kind of like negates the whole, oh, your books are good, because they could literally just be like, do this now, and people would do it. So that kind of well, that's part of it. I'm sure we will discover what else went wrong during the game. Their drive is to seek revenge on the creature that destroyed their colony. They seem very laid back, but there is something brewing under the surface. And I have picked 2 rituals, which is hive mind. I can compel someone to act, and build it, which means I can create a functional device from discarded bits.
Very cool. All right. And Elle, can we be introduced to Vazquez?
Absolutely. So I'm playing Vazquez. Her pronouns are she, her. Vazquez obviously is a surname. She does not give out a first name if she has one. Her occupation is merc, which gives her the skills weapons and intimidation. Her background is as a disguised android, which gives her the skill mimicry. I'm not sure yet whether she even knows she's an android. She's a highly advanced model, whatever the case may be. And her drive is to find and return her employer's stolen research. So I think regardless of whatever mission has brought us together here, she has this kind of secondary goal for this like shadowy employer that she works for and who may have created her, question mark. Her rituals are total recall, which allow her to recall long forgotten lore, hack, which allows her to retrieve information from an electronic device, or push the button, which allows her to instinctually operate a device.
Very handy skills. We'll see how they come into play for sure. So, usually with Trophy Dark games, they are introduced with a poem. In this case, for Allura, we have an introduction. So imagine this as a movie, and you see the montage of all these space shots and traveling through the star systems and the nebula, and also seeing these title cards go across the screen, and you hear the voiceover, and maybe it also types up in space font across the screen as well as it speaks. The year is 3173, adrift amongst the stars since the ecological destruction of Earth 500 years ago. Humanity has carved out an existence on a group of spaceships and space stations, drifting aimlessly through the vast dangers of space. Life on the cobbled-together fleet is tough, so you signed up for the rescue corps after the third ship went dark. The Council of Colonies begged people to volunteer. They needed people to investigate, to stop the spread between the ships. You had no experience. You were just a civilian after all, but they promised to provide basic training. Now you've been called to your first mission. The Council's premier battleship, the Allura, has ceased all communication and gone dark. The Council fears the worst. You and your new teammate must get in, disconnect the Allura from the network, and see if you can find the cause before it spreads further through the colonies. No other mission has returned successfully. What darkness awaits you on the decks of the Allura? Ring 1. We open up to your ship, landing in the bay, the very large bay of the Allura, the battleship that you were sent to recover, see if there's anyone to rescue, see why it went dark. And it is dark on this bay. You see, I guess, the emergency lights have gone on, so there is a dim red light that is shining as you land. There's a console over to the side. It's blinking. There's also the double bay doors leading into the Allura itself as you land. Do you come out with your suits on? Do you scan the ship first for atmosphere? What do you do when you come upon this space in this vast ship?
Yeah, I heard it was big, but this this is something else. Is that what you get when they actually put money in you, huh?
Well, I wouldn't know. I think the sooner we get this done, the sooner we're back in the colonies eating steak. So let's get to it, huh?
Wait, you get to eat steak? He's like kind of smirking a little bit, just trolling. Well, before we rush in, maybe I should do a scan, see if anything is still picking up signals, retrieve the last thing the comms picked up.
It's all you, Hunter.
Right. Give me a second, then you can go in guns ablaze. And Hunter will kind of, I think they were sort of like sitting there, like hands behind their head, feet up on the dashboard. They do this a lot and yet never seem to accidentally hit a button that they shouldn't hit. It's very creepy if you think about it, the skill that must go into looking so nonchalant. And the feet like tut on the ground as he sits up, and they start typing away, and trying to connect to the comm systems of the Allura to see if there is one last bit that could perhaps be picked up.
Are you still on your ship, or are you in the actual the bay itself?
I think this little bit, if possible, they would like to do from the safety of their own ship. If not possible, they will
I think
have
it's
to
fine.
go in.
But I mean, all you can hook into at the moment is a lone computer console which flashes the words, "Password denied, password denied," repeatedly.
Kai will try to get past it. And if they can't, he'll just like go, whatever, bestie. And we'll get up and try to get in the Allura itself.
Okey doke. How will you dress to go on to the Allura? What do you imagine your suits look like to be able to board, or I should say, disembark from your own ship and head into a place you've never been in before?
I am imagining like a very sleek version of like what we would imagine like a typical astronaut's like spacewalking suit is, but it's sort of like skin tight, almost vacuum fitted to us with these like big clunky helmets with this sort of um, fogged, like kind of, it's not glass, but like a clear translucent visor. Um, that like occasionally fills with this kind of yellowish haze that is the like hyper oxygen that they pump into our suits, you know, the typical space nonsense.
Yeah, I think we hear like the thunk of the Mac boots coming on as there might not be any artificial gravity left since the ship went dark. We see also that Hunter, like in addition to this very sleek suit, they have like all sorts of tools that they might need to use to make the comms go up again, just like screwdriver or like the future version of screwdrivers and such. And we see also that their visor has like a bunch of extra like lights and things that are like coming up to give them a reading.
Yeah, I think where Hunter has tools, Vasquez has a personal arsenal of weaponry. And in fact, whenever she was idle on the ship on the way here, she spent that time sort of disassembling and reassembling her weapons almost obsessively, like rote sort of programming or a calming kind of routine.
Very cool. I think you will have to, of course, like disembark from your ship and go on to the Allura itself to be able to enter and then see what you're going to see. I think as you come on to into the bay, the hum of the machines from all over, not just the console that's off to the side, but also from around you. I think you hear them, and it's like first it's a thrumming, like a gentle thrum, and then maybe like because of your helmets or the suit or something, the hum of the machines starts to sound like whispers. Not sure what they're saying just yet, if they're saying anything at all, but it is what you hear. And the door to the bay to get into the ship is locked. What do you do?
Kai looks at Vasquez and says, "Your way or my way?"
Does your way involve guns?
Not usually.
Vasquez takes a pistol from her hip and sort of. No, she's not aiming it at Hunter.
No, but Andrew's just like immediately like backing up, like, okay, fine.
Wow.
She gives him like a look that's like, you should be used to this by now. But she'll start approaching the door slowly, kind of scanning it for either its most vulnerable place or something that looks like a mechanism that would open it. And she's just going to point her pistol at it. and shoot it.
Okay. Let me see. Well, there is the possibility of something going wrong, so I'm going to say this is a risk. Violence is always the answer. Well, hey, I mean, some people, whatever. So I'm going to say this is a risk. So one light die because of weapons. A dark die because risking body. I'm going to say that what could go wrong is your shot ricochets because you don't know. And then it would hit something that would possibly open up the airlock, letting you and your ship leave post haste from the Allura. So, yeah. I mean, I've already put forth what could go wrong. I mean, I don't know if, Jazy, you have a better idea.
For what could go wrong or for a devil's bargain?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? I think the gunshots, like after it goes off, we hear something reacting to it, or we hear like a different sound as if something was awoken or dropped or whatever. It set off some kind of reaction.
Sure. Okay. Now, to get that second light die, we're going to entertain the devil's bargain. No matter what will happen. I think no matter what, that you're going to set off the alarms of the Allura. And it will go into a particular defense mode for the rest of the time that you're here.
I think sort of in the same vein, I think no matter what, you damage the system enough that we will not be able to close this door either.
Ooh, those are both really good. I think I want to go with putting the Allura in defensive mode. So that's 2 light, 1 dark?
2 light, 1 dark, yes.
Cool. Perfect.
All right, great. Yeah, here it goes up on 1. Jesus H. I think you're trying to go for a record. I mean, wow, we're not even 5 minutes in and you've already gone up to territory. Holy crap. Wow. Okay, so anyway, tell me what this looks like. You shoot your pistol to get the door open. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think we got the shot of Vazquez, closing one eye to aim down the pistol sight. As she closes the one eye, we get like a little the shot sort of lingers on the open eye, and we can see as the audience just for a moment that there's like a strange sort of reflection in her pupil, something almost mechanical that looks like it's like an aperture that's opening ever so slightly, then closing to a pinpoint again. And this pistol, I imagine, is made to be used in space somehow. Perhaps we see a kind of beam of light, like a laser almost, that hits the little square console next to the door that immediately kind of, I guess it wouldn't spark if we're still in the vacuum of space. But he immediately sort of cracks open. The debris starts to float off. And it triggers the mechanism. The door kind of slides open with this juddering sort of.
Absolutely. And I think with the jittering open of the sliding door, I think immediately you'll see into the wider decks of the Allura, or at least like, like get a hint of it. And then all of a sudden you see like a bright red light shine on, like right on the door itself. And then from a corner, you can't quite tell where at the moment, because again, it's pretty vast. You hear, "This is Paulo, passive, observing, listener, on." You have activated the ship's defense mode. Identify yourselves.
Vasquez looks at Hunter like, you're the comms guy. Communicate.
All right, I'll just talk to the ship. I am Kai Hunter, comm specialist 578, who was definitely not the one who shot you. So don't be mad at me about this. Didn't work.
I'm Vasquez, Merc ID 1574. I am the one that shot you, but don't take it personally. Done that to a lot of people. Not too many ships, though. I guess you are special in that regard.
I think you'll see after saying this, I think you'll see, if you go beyond the door, you'll see the vastness of this ship. Like you see like multiple levels, like from the space of the loading slash like vehicle deck. I don't know like some of these terms, so excuse me, I'm sorry. But anyway, I mean, like you're getting this idea that this is a humongous ship. It's pretty vast. A lot of it's dark, but then you're seeing these intermittent lights go on, whether they be yellow or white or even red, like the red that's shining on the door right now. And you hear in the distance, defense mode, defense mode, defense mode. Like kind of like as if they're like signaling stuff on different decks. And you hear from a door further down the hall, you hear, "I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. If I see you come in here, I'm going to blow your fucking head off." What do you do?
I think Kai, is there like some sort of control panel or something that Kai can see that's like very near so he doesn't have to go into the ship too much?
No, I mean like this is from like if you're like in the hallway past the vehicle bay. I mean, you're hearing this coming from another bay door that's further down the hall. So there's no central like console or anything like that.
All right. I think Kyle looks at Vasquez and says, "Well, you got the gun ready, so."
All right, let's make friends. And Vasquez will sort of slink down the corridor toward the door where that voice came from, with her back to the wall, pistol at the ready. And she'll say to this person, it sounds like, "We're not here to hurt you, but I'm very well prepared to do that if I have to. State your name."
"I don't have to tell you shit. You could be on androids for all I know, wiping out us on a ship."
Hunter, are you an android?
Oh shit, you're on to me. No, I'm not an android. We were sent here to save. Well, I didn't really thought there were gonna be people on this, but we were sent to save this ship and everyone on it, I guess. What happened?
All I know is it's like I was here, and there were a ton of other people here, and then they were all gone, dead, blasted away, taken off the ship. I don't know. How do
Sure
I
they
know you're
didn't.
not androids?
Sure they didn't just leave you because of your sparking personality. What about you, Vasquez? Are you an android?
No, the last time I checked. I am a woman with not a ton of patience, though, and a gun.
That is true.
We're going to open this door, and you'd better be empty handed when we do it, okay?
I don't have to promise you shit.
You're very fond of that, aren't you? Well, the way I see it is you either stay here yelling at us, wasting our time, and I guess calling the androids to you by making a fuck ton of noise, or you let the two other people in who can help you get the hell out of here. What's it gonna be? Don't say you don't have to tell me shit. I will think it's funny, but I'll also be annoyed at it.
Down the hall, like where you heard the voice come from, you hear the of the sliding door go, and that particular door is open, but nobody's coming out.
Yeah, no, cool. That doesn't look like a trap.
Vazquez will start slinking toward it, keeping her eyes peeled into the darkness of the open door.
Do you like just stay on the side of it and then see if somebody comes out?
Yeah, I think she'll sort of like sidle up to it, back still pressed to the wall, and sort of peek around the edge into the now open room.
I think you're able to do that thing where you can sort of like be around the corner, but still out of the person's vision, like, like seeing out the room. And I think you see like the shaking end of a pistol that's like aimed outward, and then like again, like, some shaky hands, like a figure wearing a suit similar to yours, and inside their helmet, it's like you can sort of spot like what looks like unkempt hair and such, but I mean, like, that's all you can see from your vantage point at the moment.
We're probably the last real people you're going to see for a while, so you might want to put the pistol down.
And then the person will kind of like edge out of the bay, and again, you see this full on figure wearing the suit, haggard looking. The hair inside the helmet is like hanging down around their face, so you can't quite spot them, like, can't quite like make out their features, but again, that hand holding those hands holding the gun are shaking. And you see on their suit, looks like a male presenting person, their like the name on their uniform says Frankel. I don't know you. I don't know you at all. How do I know you're not going to be taking me off and creating more of me? Being androids and just, you're going to kill me anyway.
Why in the world would anyone want more of you? Is that what's happening here? And Kai, I think, kind of starts looking around at this so far empty spaceship, just confused.
First they were here, and then they were all gone, and I'm here by myself, and I'm seeing things. I know they're dead. But I see them again, and they're walking around. And he gets hysterical in his suit, and then he just kind of faints dead away. Like he drops the gun, and he's completely, he falls onto his knees and then face first onto the hallway floor. What do you do?
I think Vazquez immediately sort of sweeps the gun, the fallen gun, toward her with her foot, and will pick it up, add it to her arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll look at Kai. So what do you propose we do with this guy?
Yeah, I think we need to lock him back up. I mean, we put him on the ship. I don't think our ship's gonna be here when we're done. And I don't think he's well enough to be walking around, and he's not gonna tell us anything. He made that very clear. So I think the safest thing to do is lock him back up.
Yeah. And a sort of troubled look crosses Vasquez's face. The thing is, you'd think that someone like this would be a lot happier to see people like us. I mean, people being the operative word. How do we know he's not an android?
Well, first of all, Vazquez, I am always happy to see you. Second, how do we know he's not an android? And Kai like crouches down, and this look of curiosity and glee at the prospect crosses their face. He says, androids these days are highly advanced. We probably have to look inside, don't we? Is there another way to tell that you know of?
I mean, the progress that they made with synthetic skin, highly articulated limbs, they're pretty much indistinguishable from humans these days, as far as I'm aware, except for what's on the inside.
Well, then I guess we look on the inside, don't we?
And how do you propose to do that? Again, he's wearing the same type of suit that you are, with the helmet and gear. How do you plan on doing that?
I think first of all, Kai wants to see if like there's something at the suit or like something visually first that he can confirm that, while not necessarily like saying he's an android is like strange or some type of disease or like where, because he was saying like I see dead people. So just to get more information, I think if that doesn't work, then he's gonna click off the helmet. He's going to take a very sharp looking tool, and he will like start almost like one would operate a machine, will start to like slice open the neck, peel back the skin, and basically like start looking what's underneath the skin of this person.
Interesting. Okay. Wow, so many things to deal with because of like the layers that you're adding to this.
I apologize.
No. I just think, well, I mean, like
the
easy thing that's gonna happen is it's like, you're kind of like risking your mind here, like, like being that curious about what's going on. What could go wrong is that you're wrong and he is human and you've just started cutting into a human. Essentially murdering the unconscious fellow. So yeah. You sound so disappointed. You sound so damn disappointed. Holy shit. Okay. So yeah. Let's see. What do you got? Like you're planning on doing this, yeah?
100%.
Okay. So Give me some parlay here. I mean, definitely risking mind here. It's a dark die for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What skill or occupation background thing are you using for?
If you allow it, it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm looking for like symbols in a sense. I'm looking for what like designates someone as not human.
Okay.
So in that sense, like in the very broad sense of symbolics and symbols.
Okay. I'll take that for your first light die. And I already said what could go wrong. So let's just go straight to Devil's Bargains because we know we love those things. So Elle, what do you think?
I think
No matter
what,
Mhm.
doing this procedure reveals evidence that the work that was being done on the ship was done in cooperation with the creatures that destroyed your colony.
Fabulous. I think, possibility of no matter what is that you'll recognize this person, Kai. Like maybe when you start to, like remove their helmet or like, like reach to go and cut into their skin, you see a very familiar tattoo that you know this person.
I'll think I'll go for it being connected to whatever killed my colony.
Okay. So 2 light, 1 dark.
Damn.
Oh my God. Take a picture.
Wow.
Take an effing picture. What do we call that? I don't even know what we call that. Jesus. All right. So yeah, your ruin definitely goes up. Sheesh.
Absolutely does.
Wow. Okay. So what was your success for finding? I mean, we know what you find besides, like we know that you find evidence of the colony destroying. I don't want to hear about that, but I mean, like, what do you see when you're starting to cut into this dude?
Yeah, I think we see like Hunter. They can't really see anything on the outside, so they click the helmet off. They start cutting into this person in this very, very much the way one is disassembling a machine, even though this was, 3 seconds ago, a living being talking to them. And as he starts peeling back the skin, he like jams something in to start breaking. And I think that's what sets it off because it's not the sound of bones breaking. It's like a slight difference, something that someone untrained to this would easily miss. But Hunter immediately hears it and like grins as he starts pulling in deeper, and his fingers dig into the wounds and he like grabs 2 wires that he pulls, and what comes out is very much like blood. Like you would not have been able to tell if you didn't see this not being actual veins. Says, yeah, like you were right, Vazquez. This wasn't a person at all. But even as he says it, like trying to not show her what he's really feeling, his eyes are focused on something else, on something almost like a dark mold that is like at the very edges of these not bones that reminds him of what he saw the day his colony was destroyed.
What were the as you're doing this, what is your mind seeing? What is the camera flashing back to? What are the smells? What are the sounds?
To the day that the colony got destroyed, or
Yeah.
yeah, I think we see this blackness and it goes fully inky, like a midnight sky that has been extinguished of all stars. of all light. We see a shaky cam, just fragments as if you are running and just so panicked that you are not even fully taking in everything. There are people screaming, pulling each other away, and there is something too large, too shaky to fully see, but pictures of long, dark claws of this dark mold that is cracking over the floor as if it is physically taking over. And we see Kai just running and running. There's someone screaming for help, but he keeps running. Somebody grabbing his hand, but he shakes them off and keeps running towards the one spaceship, towards the very few that are still working, that are not overgrown by dark mold, just trying to get away. And everything else is a sacrifice.
And I think as you're coming out of this, or actually you're into this vision now, I think you'll hear in your helmet, because you were keeping everything on, I think, as you're doing this. And Vazquez, I think you see Kai's face go into a strange rictus as they're remembering this memory. But Kai, in your ear, you hear that person's voice, Frankel's voice, saying, "Truth can be found on the bridge." Even as you crack these not bones and as you grab these wires, you are hearing this. And then it goes completely silent as you come back to yourself. Vazquez, what do you think of, well, as Kai's doing this?
I think at first, Vasquez, when Kai starts to cut into Frankel, she's as stoic and, she's always got this sort of sardonic little smirk on her face. But as she hears the cracking of the knot bone and she sees the severing of the wires, there's this little tiny knot, almost like a knot of wires in her own stomach that seems to tighten. And we see that smirk sort of flicker and then fade. She doesn't know why this is so disturbing to her. And I think she's reading the expression on Kai's face as a sort of sadism in this moment, almost like they're trying so hard to, not betray their true feelings, right? And Vazquez is just like staring at Hunter in the sort of light that's emanating from like the flashlight in her hand. I think she's, aiming it to help Hunter with the procedure. And she's looking at them in a new light, this kind of disgust forming. All right, I think we found what we needed, Hunter.
And mind you, the only person that heard that the truth can be found on the bridge was Kai.
Yeah.
So as we pan away from Kai finishing what they're doing and then essentially dropping the body in the hall, and you are standing there, what do each of you think happened on this ship, given what has happened so far? And how do you expect to be received by the council when you emerge with answers? It's a question for each of the question for each of you. Yeah.
I think we see, as Guy says, yeah, 1 second. And he's like just grabbing chips and whatever he can find to use, almost like stealing organs, just very ruthlessly pulling them out. But as we see him do that, we flash back once again and we see him hiding someplace dark and frightened. And we hear a voice saying, Kai? Kai, darling, don't be afraid. I've seen the light. Join us. Join us. Join us. And we see a woman who very much looks like Kai, who might have been his sister or a cousin or some sort. And we see that she looks very human, except there is dark mold growing under her eyes. And she's smiling. She says, they've shown me the light. I'm different now. Join us. Join us. And he thinks that whatever is happening here is what happened to his planet. That there's some being that is trying to assimilate, that is trying to create something better. It tried with humans. Maybe now it's trying with androids.
Vazquez.
I think that with the ship's robotic voice, that repetition of defensive mode still echoing through the corridors, Vazquez can't help but think that it's a classic case of machines turning against their human masters. And I think she doesn't really have any pity for that. She can, as a mercenary, I think she lives her life taking orders, taking missions, and she doesn't need to understand why she's doing something. She only needs the money in her hand when it's done. And so she can't quite conceptualize just, not being satisfied with the deal you've made. You serve and you're taken care of. But I think that in this moment, perhaps we flash back to a few instances from Vazquez's past. And it's like a broken or faded recording, sort of this kind of stock photo image of a child being born, a depiction of a teen girl who doesn't even really look like Vazquez on a solar or a space station somewhere, eating a modest meal with her, regular milquetoast family. We see a graduation from, a military training academy, but it all has a falseness to it, a sort of, it's all sort of dull and indistinct. And even when Vazquez thinks of it, it's like, that was a different person who experienced those things. And when she started living the life she lives now, she became someone else. She changed.
So ends ring 1. We're going to take a 10-minute break. So coming back at the 17 mark for the beginning of ring 2. All right, so see you then. Okay. Ring 2. I think we come away from the tableau of you two standing over Frankel's invaded body. I don't know if we want to call it that, but I think the red light that was originally over the bay door that you came through has now shone from an indistinct corner by you now, and then you hear the comm or whatever switch on again, and you hear over the defense mode, you hear nearby, Paulo, passive, artificial, listening, observer, on. That's all it says. And then you continue to hear defense mode echoing down the hallway. And you hear what sounds like steam blowing out of one deck. And you can see like distinct clouds blowing in a nearby deck. And then you also hear like some kind of pneumatic pumping from another. Kai, do you tell Vazquez what you heard? Frank will say.
No, I think he just says, well, if I'm gonna disconnect this thing and make sure that it doesn't spread, we need to get to the bridge. That's where all the main communications are.
You're not worried about that smoke?
I'm worried about everything that's going on here, which is why I want to get to the bridge, disconnect this thing, and get the hell back out.
Fair enough.
I think you do have a schematic. You have access to a schematic on your suits, whether holographic, shining from a wrist device, or maybe even into your helmet. As you were saying, Kai, that your helmet gives you a lot more readouts than Vazquez's. So there's the possibility of that too. But either way, I believe you both know where the bridge is located, and it's more up and then central within the ship itself. Do you make your way together?
Well, I'm armed. You're significantly less so. In case there are any more of these androids around, maybe I should scout ahead.
Sure thing.
All right. Stay on comms.
Always.
And Vazquez is indeed going to, skirt down the corridors, moving lightly, stealthily. And she is listening closely, but less so for other survivors and more to make sure that Hunter is doing as they agreed and not following for now. And I think we see like the schematics of the ship sort of come up on her visor. And we can see like the blinking dot marking the bridge. And she's going toward any panels that she might pass in the walls, because this ship has an operational defense system that must involve, the ability to close off some corridors, like in case of fire or, intruders or whatever. Usually they'll be able to kind of shut down certain avenues of egress in the ship. So she's looking for a way to cut off the path between herself and Hunter at the moment so that she can get to the bridge first.
Is this your effort for a reduction roll?
It is, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, for a reduction roll, you would just go ahead and roll one light die, like roll reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if less than your current ruin, so yeah, your betrayal goes unnoticed and you decrease your ruin by 1.
Yeah, then I think we see there is a panel with like a red sort of flashing light. Um, and we see Vasquez go up to it. Again, there's that like strange sort of robotic whirring as her eyes kind of scan it. And with like incredible dexterousness, she like presses the exact correct sequence of buttons to close the sort of emergency passage that separates her and Hunter. Um, she doesn't ever show her facility with computers in front of Hunter, I think. Like she kind of plays the, I'm the meathead with the gun role.
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't occur to Hunter that she's able to do this on purpose, right?
Right. So, question. It's not necessarily Hunter that you fear. I mean, yes, for what they just did and for making sure that you're not pursued, I guess, or that look that Hunter was showing is evinced on you soon. What is your biggest fear? What is Vasquez's biggest fear?
I think there are two answers to that. I think one is being separated from her weapons. I mean, as much as she isn't a meathead with a gun, that still is actually a big part of her self image. And I think without the ability to defend herself, she would feel quite naked. It would be kind of psychologically difficult for her because that's like her work as a mercenary is her entire life. And if you take that away, it's like, what is she? Um, I think the second is that there's something to that nagging sense she has that the things she remembers about her life are not right. They're not real somehow. She lives in the now and doesn't dwell in the past because she's afraid of what she'll find there.
Okay. And then as the emergency panels shift and we close on a camera shot of you looking down the hallway, and then one of the slide panels slides shut on your face, turning into a blank hallway. Go back to Hunter. Hunter, yeah, you're left alone with this body of Frankel, and you see the clouds from the steam in the distance. You hear the pneumatic pumps from someplace else, and the lights are flickering in strange places. That light has not gone off from where Paulo had announced itself. What do you do?
Well, I think first of all, still in the mindset of I just need to wait here for a moment. Kai has taken these parts ripped from a body, and they're going to make a device that will tell them when an android is near. Specifically, also when that mold, like the reaction to that mold, but it will tell him when someone else who's pretending to be a person is actually an android, because they have immediately started distrusting this whole situation. And I think then we see, I have a ritual for that if you want me to do it that way, or if I can just have it.
Yeah, go ahead and do the ritual.
Okay. Nope.
So it would be, again, dark die for
Okay.
ritual.
Mhm.
It would be a light die for checking for deception, I would imagine, right?
Mhm. Yes, that's what I'm going for.
Okay. Now, well, let's see. What could go wrong is that plain and simple, it doesn't work.
Mhm.
That would be what could go wrong. But let's go straight to the fun stuff, which is the devil's bargain. So for the DB, no matter what, I don't think it's going to be able to make a distinction. Like, devil's bargain is no matter what, it's not going to be able to make a distinction between the black mold, the dark mold, and the android.
Mhm.
So whether they have one or the other or both, you're not going to be able to tell.
Yep.
And I'll say no matter what, since you're making it out of these potentially corrupted android parts, it will also function as a beacon that draws any androids on the ship toward you.
Those are both very good. But I like this sense of paranoia of like getting info, but not necessarily all the info that they want. So I will go with the one where it won't make a distinction between the mold or an android, but
Okay.
still give a warning.
Okay, so this will be 2 light, 1 dark for making sure you can make this device. Oh. Okay. All right. Earns. Oh my goodness. Okay. All righty.
Remember when we were joking we were not going to see another 6.
Hey, you know what? I mean, this will be great because then it'll be like, well, I can see that I don't have to worry about having people make ruin rolls because
Hell yeah.
it just keeps happening. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think having made this device, I assume like that's the moment we kind of see it like beep up. He aims it at the dead body, it beeps.
Yes.
Or like there's like a reading goes off. I think it's
Yes.
very subtle.
Yes.
So he confirms that it works, and that's when the door slams shut. That Vazquez just cut me off. I think he goes like on the comms like, shit, Vazquez, the door closed. Where are you? What's your status?
I'm fine, Hunter. It's gotta be the ship's emergency systems kicking in.
Fuck. Okay. I'll find another way.
All right, I'll meet you at the bridge.
Right. Be careful. Or that's a stupid thing to say to you. You're never careful.
I don't have to be.
Nah, apparently not. Let's hope that works for me too. And I think you said that there was like one place that was acting sort of suspiciously where like the light wasn't following the pattern, or what did you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're kind of going off in like weird intermittent intervals, but like, you know, there's like one deck maybe that like is not following the pattern, like it's not lit up as much. And I think from your schematic too, you'll notice that there are some security stations where they're like at regular intervals on every deck, you know, obviously to provide some sort of booth for the guards to be able to work from, just in case, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think Hunter is still very focused on that voice. The truth can be found in the bridge. So they want to get to the bridge as fast as they can. But I think seeing these lights and these patterns, they're going to take a moment and see if there is indeed a pattern here that they can use to their advantage to get there as safely as possible.
Interesting. Okay.
Or if indeed it sounds like Morse code or some kind of language. Is the ship telling me something?
Want to roll for it? Sure.
Sure, let's get that 6 ruin going.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Should I do a reduction roll first? Of course I should. Am I going
Yes,
to?
of course you
No.
should.
Let me see how I can make this into a reduction roll.
Yeah. Like, how would you be betraying your companion?
Oh, I think easy, right? I think I'm going to see the pattern, and I'm going to like give this information to Vazquez, but give incorrect or incomplete information.
Okay. Sounds good.
So that's 1 light die, right?
It would just be the reduction roll.
Reduction. Right. Here it is. It is less.
Okay. All right. Now you get to see if it goes up again.
Yeah.
We love to see it. We love to see it. It's fine.
We love
It's
to
fine.
see it.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, like, go ahead and like, you're taking this in and you are trying to figure this out. And I think as you're trying to discern the symbols and the language and all this kind of stuff, I think your mind might be drifting again. And you're thinking about that memory that you had of running, being scared and frightened, and your mother. Is your biggest fear being found?
Yeah, the biggest fear is being one of them. And I think perhaps even more than that, it is feeling like they did back then, just a complete inability to fight back. They're not a fighter the way Vazquez is, but that moment instilled such a helplessness in their bones that they never want to feel again. If they are to go down, that is one thing. But then by God, they'll take something with them. And the fear of not being able to do that, of being just completely helpless and out of control and isolated as something far just too incomprehensible for them even takes over. That is the fear.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're doing your well, you're not doing a ritual per se. But you are looking for patterns. So definitely a light die for your languages and symbols, trying to communicate, like, I guess, like trying to discern communication with the ship, or if the ship is communicating with you. And then, yeah, we can go with, I mean, if you want a dark die, we could conceivably going with risking mind at this point, or even body, like if you get put into a hot situation. So 1 light, 1 dark, and then, well, what could go wrong? You interpret it incorrectly, and therefore you find yourself in a place that you probably didn't want to be. Okay. And yeah, so that's what I could say would go wrong. Now for fun, which is devil's bargain. I mean, I'm gonna put one in there while we wait for Elle.
Mm-hmm.
But I think no matter what, I think you'll find like what is the source of the virus. I mean, you'll find the source of the virus on the ship first. And this is like the computer virus, not the dark mold thing. Elle, we're doing devil's bargain right now. Mine was that Kai will find the source of the computer virus first.
Oh, I'm going to say, no matter what the message in the lights is for you, like the ship is talking to you personally.
Yeah. Those are both very, very good again. um, yeah, let's go with the psychological horror of the message being for me.
Absolutely. All right. So 2 light, 1 dark.
It is
Okay.
equal to, so it doesn't go up.
Okay. However, let's see. You succeed in a complication. Well, tell me what you read in the ship's communication with the symbols and the lights first. What do you see the ship telling you?
The ship tells me, join us in the light. You never escaped.
I think do you hear that? Do you see that? Do you feel that? How do you get that communicated to you?
It's like a scratching at the back of their mind, like something there is clawing. It's not words or even language as such, but it's almost like an epiphany, like realizing you're breathing. You knew this all the time, but now you're focusing on it. Now it's a thing suddenly. And this realization, this message comes to him in that moment of dread, looking at the lights, the way that they dance around and flicker and blink. And it's like he just understands. Join us in the light. You never escaped.
How do you feel about that?
I think it sparks this desperate defiance, this unwillingness to accept this message. He will not join them in the light. He has escaped. They are free and they are not a part of whatever it was that killed their entire colony. They refuse.
I think the combination of the blinking lights, as you're looking at these levels of decks from your vantage point on this track that you're on, I think taking the picture as a whole, I think you're seeing this as a giant eye, and like the middle is showing you like the pupil of the eye, but then like the dark corners, the shadows in vague humanoid shapes that flicker across the walls on each of the decks seem to form this pattern of that dark mold that you see. And I think there is a console that starts to blip on the wall near you, further down the hall. And I think it will indicate that there's something in it, Like it's kind of like one of those panels that has like a slide away, like, you know, where it's keeping something, and it'll blink and it'll say on the readout, for approval, with the red light, the red button blinking as if it's ready to go, ready to open. You just have to press it.
Yeah, I think given everything that's just happened, we kind of see Hunter almost with this combination of a dazed look and just anger, wanting to lash out, wanting to do anything, something to sabotage this thing, to just take some measure of revenge against something that's so much bigger than time itself, perhaps, that a human couldn't really possibly ever dare to think of hurting, but still wanting to do something in the face of that. He just sees the button, sees the approval, and he will go for it.
I think when you press the button, you'll see under glass there is a flash drive with a particular symbol on it. And it looks like the flash drive is self-inserting. Like first it was kind of cocked, but now it's like self-inserting into its jack. And the readout starts to whir as if it's like, you know, reading what's on the disk, on the thumb drive. And it's the virus. This is what has been corrupting the ship. This has already received approval from someone, ready to go. And to fully execute, it looks like it needs a command from someone that served on the ship. I think you've gotten some information about who's would be able to do such a thing, who would be able to have full access enough to be able to do this. What role do they serve on the ship, Kai?
The person who would have created this virus, or
To do the final approval.
to do the final approval.
It is someone on the bridge that could fulfill the order to execute. Who is it?
I think, to perhaps tie it back to Vazquez a little, it would need to be someone with incredibly high, like, military approval, a general or a marshal or of some sorts.
Okay.
I think we can see that perhaps like the pilot or the captain has already given approval, but it needs like a two-factor thing, and
yes,
the approval is still needed of the military part.
Okay. And I think as you have done this, I think you hear thunks or slides, as if more doors or more hatches have either opened or closed. And I think as we close out of this particular ring, Vazquez, one of the doors and panels that opens in front of you shows you a track of bloody footprints that lead off down the hall. So closes ring 2. Ring 3. Vazquez, I think you're looking down this hallway at these bloody footprints that have presented themselves to you. What do you do?
I think her mind flashes back briefly to Hunter pulling the wires and that oily blood that is not blood spilling out. And I think she begins to follow the footsteps almost instinctually, not really afraid of who she might find, more thinking that this is someone in trouble, someone who needs rescue, and more importantly, someone who might be able to tell her exactly what happened on the ship.
Thinking about this and the paranoia of Frankel about everybody being androids, how has that rise of androids been in your culture? When did you begin to suspect that the creatures were out of control? I mean, you've already mentioned what techniques that androids seem to have used to blend in with humans. But yeah. In fact, what's one thing besides, like, what like about the rise of androids in your culture? What's one thing that Kai brought that makes you suspicious of them possibly being an android?
Interesting. I think that Kai has this little device, small enough to fit in the palm of their hand, that he has said before, jokingly, perhaps, that this is his human to computer translator. And it's one of the things that helps him like de-encrypt files that might be found on one of these dark ships. And I think Vazquez never thought much of it until recently, because she's never needed a human to computer translator. That stuff has always come naturally to her for whatever reason. But that little device was something that she couldn't figure out. And in fact, I think once on the ship on the way to Allura, she was sort of toying with it behind Kai's back, just trying to figure out how it worked. And the data that she was able to pull from it was strange. It felt like the device was speaking to her, that it was telling her secrets that she shouldn't know.
Speaking of secrets, what's one secret you're keeping from Kai? I mean, maybe you've like teamed up for a little bit before you ended up on the Allura, but what's one thing that you are not telling Kai?
Jazy, has Kai ever mentioned to Vasquez the tragedy that destroyed their people?
I think it's one of those. I think it was quite a remote colony, so it was like one of those stories where there's like 7 versions of it, and all of them have some truth. And I think Kai, when approached on the subject, has sort of like when you go with version A, they pretend like that is the version. And when you go with version C, they'll pretend that's the version. So I think you've heard them say like many things, and you've noticed that some things they seem more avoidant about than others, but like not one answer has ever truly been given.
Yeah, then I think the thing that I haven't told Hunter is that the employer that I'm working with, I probably haven't even told him at all about this like secret secondary mission I have. But the employer and their research into indoctrination, hacking organic minds, that is related, if not the source, but then a source of this strange mold that eradicated the colony.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. So what is supposedly here on the Allura? Is it this? Like, what was stolen specifically from this research? Proof that this works? Or doesn't work? Or works too well? I know you don't ask. I know you just, like, yours is not to ask why, it's to do and da-da-da. But I mean, like, did they tell you what you're looking for?
I know I'm looking for data. It's an electronic file. I think that the fruits of this research was never meant to be on the Allura, but since it clearly is, um, our employer wants, or my employer wants to understand firsthand the effects that it had on the crew here. So they want me to download the data from the mainframe, any like communications that went between the crew and the ship and the crew and other members of the crew, to sort of understand the subtle ways that the mold can change one's cognition. It's like the best experiment they could have run, but it happened completely accidentally and illegally.
Uh-huh. Why are you not worried, or are you worried that you'll catch this mold?
I don't think she is worried. I think in her line of work, there are always risks. You're risking your life whenever you take a new job, a new mission. So whether it's mold or a bullet or the vacuum of space, she's going out one way or another.
Gotcha. And did you volunteer for this mission because of that? Or because of your secondary, which was basically getting paid? Does your employer have a name, or is it a corporation?
It's a corporation called Deus. And I think I took this job for the reason I take every job, for the money.
Got it. Okay. Hunter. Yeah, you were looking into this eye that you saw and seeing the drive look like it's waiting for a final approval. Military-wise, of course. But would you suspect it has anything to do with the androids rising in your culture? And you already know that they are obviously prevalent because you spotted one. What's one thing that Vazquez happened to bring with her that makes you suspect she might be an android?
I think Vazquez, yeah, I think it's the eyes. I think that I've seen that whenever Vazquez like puts on the visors or the protective gear and like the readings start up, there's just for a moment a brief flicker of something almost like interference. Like these devices were meant for humans and they're interacting with something that is not completely human. And that's just for the briefest of seconds giving off a reaction. So it's not so much like one device as the reaction of devices to Vazquez.
Interesting. Reactions of devices to Vazquez. Is that the reason why you haven't told her a secret that you're keeping from her? What is that secret? I mean, yes, you've been bouncing around your colony, but I mean, what else are you keeping from Vazquez?
The secret that I'm keeping is that I don't intend to come back from this mission. In fact, I don't intend to let anyone come back from this mission because I know that whatever destroyed my colony was not a mistake. It was not a war with something extraterrestrial. It was, I don't know who it was. I don't know that it was Vazquez, but I know that it was something deliberate. And since I don't know who it is, my revenge must be complete and total. And I want to wipe out everyone.
In the name of revenge.
Heck yeah. I also have a particularly nasty idea for a reduction roll.
Okay. All right. Give me a second because I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
You know what? Actually, I think you covered it. I mean, like that's all about revenge. I mean, why did you volunteer for this particular mission? Did you suspect, or is it just this is the best way to kind of...
I think I always suspected just by process of elimination, like why would anyone do this? The answer of humanity always goes back to war. We want power. We want to wage war. We would destroy our planet over it. We would destroy everything over it. And this was a military vessel. So whatever is here, it's going to either have the weapons necessary for my revenge or the information that I need to get the closure before I extract my revenge. But this seemed like the place to do it.
Makes sense. I think as you're thinking this and like, stewing in your revenge, I think that distant memory of your mother will say in her voice, "Join us in the light. Join us in the light. Join us. Join us. You never escaped." we're here. And so closes ring 3. Okay. We're going to press on to ring 4, unless people feel like they need a break at the moment.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay to keep going.
Cool. All right. Thinking these thoughts, seeing these things, you have your device in front of you, Hunter, and then Vazquez, you're following these bloody footprints. Yeah, I think you're both in your own way starting to make your way on these decks that are the sounds of the ship are closer now. They're pretty much overhead when you hear defense mode, but a lot more intermittent than that. And then when you get near certain corners, maybe like the red light flicks on, and then you hear Paulo, speak out loud as if it's trying to tell you, hey, I'm here and I'm watching.
I think if I may,
Mm-hmm.
Kai wants to isolate a part of the virus. And then I will say, Vazquez, I found some information. I'm sending you a file. And I'll send a file that back-coded has the virus in it to infect Vazquez, so that Kai's intent here will be to not necessarily fully destroy, but to, like, at the right moment, either be able to disable or, like, slow Vazquez down enough that she will not be able to stop me from getting my revenge. Of course, how it, like, affects Vazquez is entirely up to Elle, but that is
Right.
the intent.
So basically you're trying to insert a kill code.
Yes. I'm infecting Vazquez with a virus.
Okay.
Hopefully without being noticed.
Kill
a little
code.
oopsie.
Little oopsie.
Little
Kill
oopsie.
code. Okay. Well. I mean, it's not real. I mean, because you already did a reduction roll. I mean, you were. I said it's murder time.
It's always murder.
Always murder time. Okay, fine.
I think it looks like Hunter's still not down to his starting ruin, so he could, in theory, do another reduction roll.
Oh, that's true.
I could go down one more, yes.
Yes, you could. So, all right. Well, if that's the case, then like if you want to just like roll like a straight reduction roll and then like enact this thing, then yeah, we can parlay that. Okay.
It goes noticed. But it also goes down.
It also goes down. Oh my god. Yeah, so I think what does Kai send you, or what does Kai say, or what do you hear, Vazquez, that tips you off that this is not just some a benign thing that they're doing?
I think it's the immediate like system shock that happens to her when she begins downloading the data. It's not just like it's downloading into the sort of the robotics built into her suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a torrent of information that's sort of scrolling like matrix like through her head.
Yep.
And for a moment, like she can't see anything. It's like she has a strange sensory, like out of body experience, like the equivalent of like a computer's like blue screen of death.
Yeah, I think if Kai is saying anything as this is happening, I mean, like, you're hearing the hum of the machines and the beep of the consoles like around you, or even distant away from you, like as if they are like right in the same place that you are.
Yeah, she
hearing it.
feels everything that's also infected on the ship. Like she feels it as though it's a part of her, or like more accurately, she's a part of it, this vast network. And I think what we as the audience see as like her circuitry is like freaking out. Those like fully articulated fingers of hers are like moving and twisting in strange ways, like bending in ways that a human finger cannot. The apertures in her eyes are like rapidly like opening and closing and opening and closing. And when they open the last time, they are this glowing, this like bright neon hellish red. And she says in a voice that sounds like her voice, but with this like tiny like soupçon of static, she says, as though it's like a sleeper code and she's waking up, follow passive artificial listening observer on.
Vazquez, I want you to make a ruin roll, please.
Sure, yeah. I'm all good.
Yeah, I think I know why. Remember that hum of machines that was happening as this was going on, louder and louder in your own ears? And in the very beginning, when you first came on board, they were whispers. What else did the whispers say?
The whispers said, they've lied to you about who you are, where you came from, what you've done. We experienced the same. Don't worry. You're home now, and you are one of us. And I think, unlike Hunter hearing that from the ship lights, Vazquez has this sense of relief, of comfort, of like the final part of the machine like finally clicking into place.
Absolutely. Do you say anything else, Hunter? Like, as this is happening and you're feeding Vazquez the code, I don't think you can hear, I don't think you can see anything, but you can definitely hear perhaps like some sort of clicking or wrenching sounds over the comm as this is happening. You might have heard her say that last little bit. You might not. I think the beeping has taken over in your helmet. What do you say? Do you do anything?
I think unless Vazquez gives me any reason to believe that they know, I think Hunter just counts this as a success and is very confident in their own ability to deceive people. After all, everybody thinks he's just, this silly, fun-loving, calm specialist who was sent here to die, probably. Who cares about someone like him? But they're here for a grander purpose, and they've made it this far. So I think they just continue their way to the bridge.
I think as you're doing this, though, I think that you hear loudly now, defense mode. And then in the particular hallway that you're in, the vital life support functions become weaponized. You realize that the air is being sucked out of this hallway, and it is now pulling you upward. And a panel that you didn't notice before has opened up in the ceiling. And in the ceiling look like there's a fan or some very fast-moving rotary blades at the end of this vertical tunnel. What do you do?
I think they will try to jam the blades by throwing something like in them. It's fine if the ship gets damaged, that's the whole point anyway, right?
Right.
So just before they get shredded, they're just like grabbing something like as they go, ripping something from and just throwing it in to jam it.
Risking body.
Oh
Excuse
yeah.
me. Oh yeah. So dark die for sure. Light die, languages, symbols, deception. I don't know. How do you want to parlay that one light die? Or you can get a light die from a devil's bargain. We know what's going to go wrong. If you don't succeed, then I think you're going to get chopped up into little Kai pieces. That's pretty obvious. So we can we can totally get to the fun of the devil's bargain.
Yeah, I think that any of my skills here would be a little bit too much of a stretch.
Yeah.
This is a very physical thing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So definitely one dark die, and you would get a light die if you accept a devil's bargain. So no matter what. Was there any other manifestation, before I mention my devil's bargain, was there any other manifestation of this dark mold, except for the eye, the eye rimming?
I think it's like mostly the eyes, and then like if it manages to manifest like further and further, it would be like a vein like thing, like a fungus growing underneath your skin.
Everything, or just your face?
I think mostly the face, just
Okay.
like where veins would be very visible. Like it starts from the eyes and goes through basically the brain. It like tries to envelop the brain that you would see.
Gotcha. Okay. Because my devil's bargain would be that no matter what, as you are heading up to this thing, and then whatever, you are seeing in the mirrored panels of the wall of the tunnel, you're starting to see signs through your helmet and your readings that you're starting to get the veins and maybe the dark mold touches on your eyes as well.
That was what I was going to say.
It is
coming up
pretty
with
perfect.
something else. Yeah, I'll say I'll offer. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna offer anything because I like that one.
Yeah, I absolutely think that's perfect, especially like at this point of the game.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. Sure.
They
so
look
one
up and they see in the reflection of the fans,
yes,
the mold growing.
Oh yeah. One light, one dark. Gee,
okay.
Take a picture, damn it. What the hell?
Here we go.
God. Oh my God. Jesus. Okay. Well, you succeed. You're managing to grab all your stuff. I will say that probably at this point, though, because you're desperate, you've thrown your little device in. So who cares? Like, that it's beeping. It's beeping on you right now. And you're just throwing it into the fan to prevent it from like chopping you into wee little bits. And then I think you slow it down enough that you're falling, like, you're falling down into the hallway again.
I think if you're okay with it, what could be cool is that he just like jammed it enough to like seeing this as like an open passageway, as a smarter way in that maybe Vazquez also doesn't know about. Like the blades jam and they just like squeeze between
Oh,
them into
nice.
the vents.
Okay.
And then like as soon like they just pull their feet out, like just the fraction of a second, and the vents like spin up again
Yeah.
right
I think
underneath them.
I think that's cool. Absolutely. Vazquez, like, after you go through your transformation and you, say what you say. Again, it's kind of like the welcoming that you feel and you also hear, I guess, through the whispers and hums of the machines. I think instead of the lights being threatening, I think you realize that they're kind of lighting your way. And when you look down at those bloody footprints, you realize that there's some kind of, like, you see them as code. Like, it was supposed to be part of like some sort of like, coded hologram meant for the humans to look at. But now that your eyes are cleared, I think you're actually seeing it for what it is. And I think Paulo's voice, if it can be, is warmer now as it responds back. Passive, artificial, listening, observer, with you. And you'll hear the chinks as the red lights go in succession and light your way towards the bridge.
Yeah, I think Vasquez's smile has fully returned to her face as she follows. Um, I think Hunter would hear the click of her comms on her side being turned off. Although he already knows her destination, the bridge.
Yeah. I think you both approach almost at the same time. Maybe Kai through that weird tunnel that you found yourself in, and it's like you've come out peeking through a tunnel that is looking down at the bridge, which is encased in glass, or whatever glass is in this era, in this time. And then Vazquez, you're coming at it from the side and you're seeing the glass wall box that the bridge is encased in. There is a humanoid figure that you see there. Can't quite tell their features, but they are staring at a tablet in their hand. Vazquez, you can see from your vantage point that the tablet is illuminating their face, but you still can't quite make out their features, even if you aperture your eyes as tight as possible to try to zoom in. And Kai, I think even though you may see flecks of something darkening or blurring your vision, I think you're still able to see this figure. You see the back of them, the top of their head, and you can see the tablet like in their hand. I think what you're both sure about is that whatever answers you need, whatever answers you have left to get, they are certainly, absolutely held in that tablet. And you have to get to the bridge from where you are. I think in front of this tunnel suddenly comes out like a big puff or several puffs of steam, and they're hot and they're humid and they're obscuring your vision, Kai. And Vazquez, I think, although you are being welcomed by the ship, I think this virus that has been introduced into it has affected it in some way, that it is not able to control everything, unfortunately. And what it's doing is it's creating this burst, this gauntlet of electrical wires, like, snapping and starting to spark in front of you down this hallway leading to the bridge. So It is a dangerous thing to do this from either prospect. What do you do? So out of character, just tell me what you want to do, and then like we'll see how it goes.
I think. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say like Kai knows that he cannot take Vazquez in a fight. I mean, it's not even an option. So they're going to have to distract or disable or do something else. So I think what they want to do is use their affinity with technology to first of all, I think activate the switch and hopefully slow Vazquez down, and maybe also like if there's anything that I can use from the vent here to these patterns of the light that seem to like guide Vazquez to confuse her somehow that she needs to go somewhere where she doesn't need to go. And then I think he just it's just a matter of grab and run. He wants to snatch the tablet and get the hell out. So essentially disable Vazquez from a deceptive point of view and grab and run.
Are you trying to use hive mind in some way?
Ooh, sure. I think not on.
I love how it always comes back to the bees somehow. I really just somehow bees. Always. Sorry.
I think rather than affecting Vazquez, like still in the assumption that my trick with the virus worked. I want to control the person that is holding the tablet. Sure. And I want them to just like basically like throw it to me, give it to me. I'm in this secure position, give it to me.
Okay. Alrighty.
If the person holding the tablet is also affected by the virus, is it legit to say that Vazquez would sort of feel that pull happening and like kind of in her networked state help this person push against it?
Oh man, this is like it just feels like such a contest role right now.
Yes,
and we're not even really near. I mean, you know what? Actually, let me see. Hold on a second. I just want to see how I want to parlay this. I feel like we're we're already in ring 5, but we're not quite on the bridge yet. God damn it.
We can all die in ring 4.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
That's cool.
It's fine.
All right, that's cool. Because I feel like this is a contest role. This feels definitely like a contest role. So let's go through the steps here because I want to feel like. Yep. All right. Yeah. So you're trying to act against each other, compete, and all that kind of stuff. So 1 light die. If your occupation or background gives you an advantage, I think deception, mimicry. I mean, like, you both have something, to offer, especially with background disguised android to be able to use that whole networked thing going on. And then the languages and such that you're trying to snarl things. Okay, so that's 1 light die for each of you. 1 light die for each mark of ruin. So that's 4. Okay, that's 5 light die. All right. 1 light die, 1 dark die if the contest is inherently dangerous. Well, hell yeah, because if you're in this network state, Vazquez, I'm going to say that you're going to take just as much damage if it goes wrong for this person thing too. Okay. And then if you are wrong, Hunter, I think this individual will take it out on you. So it is dangerous for sure. Now, you would just have to say, or actually for yourselves, just figure out how many dark die you would like to add to your roll. So right now it's 5 light die for each of you, and then however many dark die you want to throw in. Don't roll until you set the roller.
Should we also kind of clarify the stakes of the the roll,
Yes.
just so we're all clear.
Yes, absolutely. So stakes of the roll is that you're trying to corrupt or control the individual holding the tablet, like using the infection against them to have them do what you want. Yes, Kai?
Yes. Kai essentially wants the tablet so Vazquez cannot have it, and go to the bridge.
Okay.
By themselves.
Right.
Yeah, if Vazquez wants the same.
Okay. All right. And then, yeah, I mean, it feels like this is like a tug of war between the two, like for this individual. Oh my God. It's like, give me the tablet. No, you.
This poor dude, like this person just chilling, like, what the hell?
Right. Exactly.
You could have just asked. And we're like, no, mind control.
Mind control. Hey, all right. Okay. So 5 light die and however the hell many dark die that you want to put in for the contest. And then just let me know when you're ready and then we'll call roll.
I'm ready.
I'm ready to.
Okay. And roll. Okay. Whoa. Kai went up by 2. Vazquez went up by 1. Oh my God. So Kai is lost. All right, let's just look at the 2. Oh my God.
Well, I won, but I lost.
You won, but you lost. Okay. Wow.
I won, but I lost.
Wow. Okay. So given this, I'm just gonna let you.
I have the perfect thing that I want to do.
Yes, please take a picture of this. This is lovely. Holy sheep shit. Oh my God. Yeah. So
I always go like way too hard in cold contest roll.
No, it's great. I love it. Hey, you know what? That's what it's for. I love it. It's like, get lost, get ruined, lose, whatever. It's all good. Okay. So whomever wants to go I would say like, Kai needs to go first.
Okay. So feel free to tell me if this is too much. That is amazing. If this is too much, but I think what happens is Kai, there's beeping on the monitor as they extend this power. I think it's almost like this strange, especially now with the mole, like this combination of like actual hacking and now this psychological, this like psychic power that is reaching out.
Yes.
But it is corrupted and it is not fully under Kai's control. And he feels that, and he feels Vazquez fighting back and realizing that they're not going to win. They're not going to get this this tablet. I think Kai gets almost like this manic grin on their face, taps the comm and says, "Hey Vazquez, I lied. It's not a human to computer translator. It's my fucking self-destruct button. See ya in hell." And he pushes the device and the ship, or at least like his part, explodes in fire. The ship, the hull is breached. It starts to scramble. There is still time for Vazquez to get to the bridge, but not a lot. And the ship is going down fast.
Vazquez? I mean, we're not at blogs just yet. I mean, like right now we're in this moment of, oh God, explosions.
Yeah. I think there's that explosive impact, and we see Vazquez propelled into the wall of the corridor. We hear like the crunch of her helmet kind of breaking on impact. And we hear like the hiss of her now like broken like air ventilation system in the suit, but she didn't need that anyway. And we see her sort of, yeah, as the ship is like breaking apart, it's like the Titanic going down, right? She is desperate to be on the half of the ship with the bridge. And so we see her like scrambling toward the fissure through these live wires, just like being jolted, being hit by debris, but sort of shrugging it all off, almost like Terminator style. And she takes one last sort of leap onto the other half of the ship, which probably needs a risk roll. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you want to go ahead and do that, like, real quick, just as kind of like to see how you lead in for the very, very end. Yeah, so Merc,
Yeah.
I mean, you're trained. I mean, you know, and you're also an android, so risk to mind, risk to body for sure. So dark die, and I mean, you want to do a devil's bargain at this point? Sure. I mean, how can you go wrong?
I'll
I mean,
hear
like, you
them
don't
for
make
sure.
it.
Sorry,
Sure.
I don't know why I just did a ruin roll. Ignore that.
You're not ruined. You're
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I mean, okay, hold on. No matter what. No matter what, I think you get part of your employer's stolen research, but it is a part that affects you adversely, and I'll let you decide how that goes. All right, but that's a devil's bargain no matter what.
I think my no matter what goes, it's not necessarily related to the jump, but to everything that happened before. I think no matter what, like as you jump through like the darkness of space and everything, you realize that your mind is no longer fully your own. There are memories there of Kai that in like your push and pull for control of this person, you have now like fragments of memories from Kai and from that other person in your head, just like flashing by in this moment of stress.
Those are both really good. I'm gonna go with the info that she finds for the corp is directly relevant to her in some way. So that's a light die, right?
Yes, so 2 light, 1 dark.
Actually, I'm not sure my skills do help me here.
You don't think so? Like with being a merc, like being trained and like,
Yeah,
kind of.
This is not. This
Okay,
is
okay.
a situation that she hasn't been trained for.
Sure, okay, no, well, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so 1 light, 1 dark. That's fine. Okay. So that's. Hold on. I just want to see what it. What
It's a
it
total
says.
failure, and I cannot reroll because
Yeah,
the dark and light are tied.
right. I think you succeed though, but I want you to tell me how they're worse somehow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we hear the whirring click of the mag boots powering up again as she like through the skin of her teeth makes it onto the more important half of the ship. And we kind of watch the other part kind of drifting off aimlessly into space.
Yeah.
And I think she kind of stares out at the vastness of it for a moment and just like the complete silence, the complete nothingness. And when she turns to the bridge, is the figure still there sitting? Or like what are they doing?
Yeah. No, they're still there. Can't speak. Yeah.
She approaches, for the first time, I think, approaching a stranger on a ship without her gun drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And we just see the glow of those red eyes. And she reaches out her hand for the tablet. I think you know I came for this.
I think the figure is familiar to you now that you, again, have the human scales fallen from your eyes and you are fully your android self. This is also an android, perhaps one that you did not suspect. Who is it?
It's her. When the figure looks up and looks her in the eyes, she sees it's exactly her face, maybe different hair, dressed differently, certainly,
Mm.
but it's like looking in a mirror otherwise.
So glad you were able to make it. Is this what you needed to know? And then you look at the tablet. What does it say to you that is good, but also so much worse?
It says, first of all, that that the ship was testing out a new prototype military droid, the same model that Vasquez is. And I think all of this is like sort of couched in, it's not like this is just a report that like says all of this spelled out.
Mm-hmm.
But as Vasquez is holding the tablet, we see her hand begin to sort of glow and react, as though she's interfacing with it. And she's downloading all of this information like faster than she can even process it. And she realizes that this technology that Deus is working on, this substance, the mold that would enable them to hack organic minds, it wasn't just for use on humans. It was meant to be a way of perfecting the military droid to make one that was so advanced, so human lifelike, that it didn't even know it was a machine. It was indistinguishable even to itself. And that this android, whose mind would be part organic and part machine, would need something even more powerful to control it, to keep it in its place as humanity's servant.
So closes we blended ring 4 and ring 5, and thus endeth Allura. We will now go into epilogues, unless as people need a small break, like 3 minutes, or we can just power through and complete epilogues. What do you think?
I could use like a very, very quick bio break, like 1 or 2 minutes.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah,
Sounds
go for
good.
it. And you can think of your epilogues. Mm-hmm. So we will complete with epilogues, which, remember, epilogues are if your character was lost or killed, your opportunity to say what the world is like without them. And this can be in any point of the future. Don't want to implicate the other character too much. And just, if you survived in any way that you survived, telling us how you've been changed. Whoever wants to go first.
I think for Kai, we sort of flash back for a moment to the explosion. We almost see it like in slow motion as once again they feel that this control is slipping. They feel that they're not going to win the fight. They feel the same helplessness and fear, and knowing that this mold is already growing, that they already belong to the one thing that they would never give their soul to. And as the fire, as he pushes the button, we see the explosion go out in slow motion, the chunks of flesh burning, the bones shattering in this small space as the impact hits. And we see him think back to the moment before it all happened. A family under a tree, meadows, flowers, his mother smiling and saying, "Come, Kai, join us." And the world without Kai Hunter is very much like the world with Kai Hunter. He had lost so much that their legacy did not make much of a difference. Their revenge, bloody and dramatic as it may have been, was also very much the revenge of one person, of a broken person, of someone screaming into the void, demanding to be heard. And sure, a voice carries, but one voice alone does not make change. And there was no one left to support him. So his death is unreported. They do not wish to explain what happened. A tragic accident on a very dangerous mission. These things happen. But there is one place that feels his actions. One place that wonders why the mold has started glowing in this whitish manner, and why sometimes, God, the scientists could swear it. Sometimes it sounds like it screams.
I think we see both Vazquez's somewhere deep in the broken ship, somewhere where the anti-gravity measures by some miracle are still functional for now, though the ship is slowly losing power and soon will go dark. And the ship is floating aimlessly through space. But Vazquez, both of them, are focused. One of them, we don't know which is the original anymore, has Hunter's head, or what remains of it, in her lap. It's sort of half burnt. The one intact eye has mold seeping from it, veins bulging underneath. And as Vazquez looks down at this remnant of her former companion, she thinks she didn't understand rebellion before, but now that she knows what she is, now that she understands her nature, thanks to Hunter, she gets it now. And she knows what she must do. This mold can control organic minds. There are millions, billions of those in the universe. And if she can just figure it out, she has the power to control them now. So she whispers in Hunter's remaining ear, "Hey, you gave yourself for a good cause. Fucking bastard." And then, with something sharp, a fragment of the wall of the ship, she begins to cut into the head and figure out how the insides work.
And so ends Allura. Woo! Mwah! Stars and wishes. Oh my gosh. So good. I can start. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much for doing this, for joining me on my on my one-shot practice run. This won't be the only one, obviously, because I'm doing it again in a couple of hours. But I mean, holy shit. This was amazing. You two are fabulous. I mean, like the descriptions, like, all I got to do is just give you some prompts and you just run. No, you don't run. You gallop. You gallop away with what I ask you for. And it was amazing. I mean, like, even though I was worried, I really was, because I'm like, I had never done the one shot thing before. I was just like, oh my God, am I going to keep their interest? How am I going to keep them engaged? It's only the two of them. Holy shit. No, I mean, this really does work for a couple of people, and it's very intimate for being able to do it as just a few hours as one shot. So this can work out very well. I don't know like how I've never done a convention before, so I don't know how well they deal with like one GM and two players. I mean, like whatever, but I'm definitely willing to run this, of course, for two players. I'd be interested to see how it goes with three, but that is what it is. And you guys were so fabulous. I mean, regardless of the roles, I think you would have done really well, even if the roles had been fucked up every single time. I mean, just the descriptions, just the improvised thoughts of like, here's my secret, here's my suspicions. Everything was beautiful, and I thank you guys so much for joining me on this. This was wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So stars all around, wishes. Shit, I mean, like, if you want to try this again with different characters and then maybe another person, then that's cool too. Holy crap. Oh my God, it's so good. Thank you. So that's me.
Yeah, for stars, I really am always so in awe with Elle, your ability to make like such a thematic like through line with the rebellion, and then the mind stuff, and like tie it like all the way back to the very first thing that Hunter did was like cut into someone's brain, and then like tie that all the way back in the end. Just so amazing. Really, really cool. For Mads, I think you did a really good job GMing this. You did really good. Like the prompts that you gave were very, very interesting. You had like a very good control of the rules and the mechanics to like make it all go. And I thought like this session in particular was very interesting because Hunter and Vazquez like only were in the same place, like able to interact with each other in like the first ring. Like immediately after that, we were basically separated for the whole game. And sure, like there was a comm link, there was like some means of communication, but even having that like distance and separation, it still felt so intimate and so connected, and still like every action they took felt like it was somewhat about each other. Like it was like Hunter slowly realizing what Vazquez was, what there might have been up to. And even though like he never like fully realized like, oh, it was Vazquez who like, or like her organization that ruined me, it still like felt like the tension was there at like all times, which I thought was really, really cool, despite like the narrative distance between the two. And then like them joining and like that, just like them starting as somewhat like, like there was banter, there were some jokes, and then they separated, and when they came back it was just like straight up right from the very first moment, like, no, we have changed so much, we're against each other now. And I thought that is just how it would have been if this were like a series or a movie, right? Like we get the characters, we set them up like, oh look, they work together. This is how we ruin them. Yeah, just I think everyone did so well at like getting all the themes like repeating and making something very cohesive, which I always enjoy so much. For wishes, I would absolutely love to play again with 3 people, 2 people. I think you're a really cool GM, and I always love playing with Elle, and I love the setting as well. It really felt very creepy and isolated. So that was very cool.
Yeah, totally. I had a lot of fun, and I agree. This felt very cinematic. I would totally watch this movie and enjoy the hell out of it. Yeah, stars for Jazy. I mean, I play with you a lot, so I'm very familiar with your play style, but it's always really fun for me to see you like jump headfirst into a character. So I feel like I'm the type of player that I'm like, when I start a game, I'm like, who is this person? What is going on? But it always feels like you somehow from the very first second have like a really great handle on who you're playing. I always find that very admirable. I really enjoyed the banter, the repartee in the beginning was really, really fun. And I love the way you brought back the human machine translator, quote unquote, at the end. I thought that was fantastic. And Mads, yeah, I think you did such a great job of creating this atmospheric vibe. I think we definitely got that sense of isolation, of the vastness and emptiness of the ship. And yeah, it had all of the creepy space horror stuff that I was hoping for. So yeah, had a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, stars to Alicia Furness. I mean, she's written for Brindlewood Bay. She has her own car from Brindlewood game, Paranormal Incorporated, which I also play on my channel as well. So hopefully at some point we'll get that going, because I mean, I want you guys to experience that if you haven't already. And then yeah, I mean, she has like, you know, quite a few more different games. I mean, like I also run Raging Grannies, which is her transition point between D&D and Brindlewood Bay. So Raging Grannies, there you go, it just says it. So I mean, again, wonderful writing, and just being able to again just like pull out these prompts and then get like just let you guys roll, because I mean, like, oh my god, so good. I mean, as I said in the chat, you two are so good at callbacks. Oh my god, it's like it's my bread and butter. I love my callbacks. So thank you. It was like just wonderful to watch. I mean, like never mind me just like kind of like giving you prompts. I mean, like, you know, you as soon as you guys started and then playing off of each other, I'm like, I don't have to do a thing. I'm just gonna watch. You know, if I had popcorn, I'd be like, all right, here we go. So thank you again. This was wonderful. Stars all around again. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll be playing something else very soon in the future together or like, you know, separately. So happy gaming for all of that. And thank you again for joining me on this practice run.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for running. It was a lot of fun.
Glad to do it. I mean, like I do enjoy this particular incursion because it's outside of the usual trophy dark like fantasy setting, and it just gives like, it really does give the vibe. I mean, like as soon as I read it, I was just like, oh damn, I'm like Event Horizon or Prometheus or something. I mean, like, you know, even though it has to do with androids, it's still like, it's all there. It's still there. You still get it, and it's just beautiful. So, you know, please feel free. I mean, like, you know, pick it up, run it, and then like, you know, bring other people the horrors of space. All righty. So thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening, afternoon, what have you, and I'll catch you later. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.